So I'm working on an idea, a picture for the Sons of the Utah Pioneers, and so I'm trying to get some drawings done of some pioneers. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to talk to you about ideas. Usually, I get like there's a spark of an idea. Sometimes it's caused by different things. This time I got an email to see if I would like to be one of the featured artists at the Handcart Days Art and Crafts exhibit in July. And so that's the very first spark of an idea. The theme is going to be Pioneers and Patriots, yesterday and today. So, first thing I have to decide is do I have the time to do this? Is it going to fit into the schedule with the other things that I have to get done? I also have to think, is this something that I want to participate in? And will it be worth my time? And the third thing to think about is, can I come up with a good idea for some paintings that would go in this show? So I usually can't help it when I start thinking about projects like this. Ideas start to pop into my mind, and I've been reading David McCullough's book on John Adams. And in John Adams' time, politics sounded much the way they do today. The newspapers were calling John Adams a toothless, bald-headed, insane man. And so maybe it's kind of the same kind of political climate that we have today. So John Adams spent a major part of his life working hard for this fledgling country that was the United States, and he worked hard to start it, and he worked hard to preserve it. So a picture comes to my mind, and I've got George Washington and John Adams in the background of a watercolor painting, and maybe some kids at a parade holding a flag in front. So that's the first idea. And there's a couple of quotes from David McCullough's book from John Adams. He talked about that the time he was in, objects of the most stupendous magnitude, measures in which the lives and liberties of millions born and unborn are most essentially interested, are now before us. We are in the very midst of a revolution, the most complete and unexpected and remarkable of any in the history of the world. So that was the time he was living in. And as I thought about the picture, I thought, well, Abigail Adams had a lot to do with the success of John Adams. So much of her time was spent with her husband away, and they wrote letters which showed how much they missed each other and what an impact that she had on his life. And she kept the farm and the family going, and then she did one of the most frightening things to her was to get on a ship and go across the ocean, and she ended up doing that so that she could be with her husband as he was working with some of the European countries like France and the Netherlands. So here's another quote by John Adams. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated, talking about July the 2nd, which ended up being July the 4th, will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as the day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shows and games, and sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward forevermore. So that I thought that quote kind of ties in with the little kids in the parade and them holding the flag. So as I was riding on the trail this morning, I had my head down and was concentrating. I was on my bike, and I looked up just in time to see the entire path blocked by a tree. There was no way around it, and I was coming upon it very quickly. So I stopped, took my bike, picked it up, walked off the trail and out around the tree. And that's kind of the way projects are. You get these projects going, and there's always something, some tree falls over your path and changes your schedule. So one of the things I've learned is you have to start and not procrastinate what you're working on. But what about the other projects you're working on? You have to think about them also. So in a sense, it's kind of like juggling things. You have to decide what needs to be worked on and what needs to be worked on right now. So also, I'm getting ready for the opening of the Utah Watercolor Society Spring Show. It's going to be at the Eccles Art Center, so head up to Ogden and you can have a look at my watercolor painting that's called Hello Ladies. So when I get the watercolor done of George Washington and John Adams and Abigail Adams and a couple of kids at the parade, I will post it on my blog and let you guys have a look at it. So there you go. In the meantime, I'll be working on some other projects, like trying to get this painting done for the Sons of the Utah Pioneers, and I've got maybe 4 or 5 projects in the works, so I will be busy. Thank you.